Hey everybody, it's your man Stan, the satanic mechanic that's causing a panic, here with another horror movie review. Today's film is Terrifier 2. Now, as many of you may or may not know, I'm a huge fan of the original film. I've shown it to lots of my friends, and I've recommended it constantly to anyone who was within earshot of the dulcet tones of my beautiful voice. It remains one of my all-timers, so needless to say, I've been looking forward to the sequel for quite some time. Terrifier 2 has been getting rave reviews from fans, and it did the unthinkable over the weekend in the box office. Released by Cinedigm, Bloody Disgusting, and Screambox, the supersized 138-minute gorefest made a staggering $1.2 million in ticket sales. What makes this even more impressive is that the film was released on only 880 some odd number of screens nationwide, showing only one time a day, and many of them late at night. For comparison, a wide-released movie is usually released on 3,000 screens with multiple showings per day. This is an incredible achievement for an indie slasher film that had no marketing budget. Its success is based on the desire of the fans to see this movie on the big screen, despite the promise of an exclusive streaming release on Screambox later this month. No word yet on an exact date. I am thrilled to see this film succeeding in a way no one predicted. Damien Leone, the writer, creator, director, and special effects master behind the franchise, lives and breathes Terrifier. He's poured so much love into his movies, and he makes it well known that he's a genre fan and that his movies are a love letter to the slasher movies he grew up with. David Howard Thornton, who plays Art the Clown, takes genuine delight in the role. Despite having no lines, this man gives such a powerhouse performance and so embodies the character that you can't help but be completely captivated when he's on screen. They both brought their A-game to Terrifier 2, and the results speak for themselves. Before I dive into my thoughts on the story and movie in general, this is your spoiler alert. If you have not seen the movie and do not want any spoilers, stop here. Okay, you've been warned. Now, I like the movie a lot. People are saying Terrifier 2 outdoes the original, but I respectfully disagree. This movie does an amazing job of expanding the mythology of the Terrifier universe without giving any concrete answers, leaving the door open to loads of sequels to fill in the blanks. That's some A-level shit right there, and I'm totally on board with the story going forward. Franchises fall flat when too much information is given too quickly. Damien is building the rules of his franchise with little to no explanation, and I say, go with it. Apparently, Art is a demon guided by a female mini-me version of himself who is reincarnated time and again to wreak havoc, presumably on Halloween night, forevermore. Sienna, our new final girl, played by Lauren Lavera, is introduced in this film and somehow is chosen as an angelic warrior counterpart to Art, who seemingly will also be resurrected until the end of time, leaving her and Art to duke it out in a million different ways and a million different places. I love it! Details on how and why Art and Sienna exist remain to be seen. Apparently, Sienna's mentally ill and deceased father had a sketchbook prophesizing her ascension to angel warrior status, which begs the question as to who her father was and what role he plays in the saga. Something's also up with her brother Jonathan as well. He's played by Elliot Fulham, and only he, Sienna, and Art can see mini-Art, which means he must be supernaturally imbued as well, though no explanation is given. The performances are solid, with some minor exceptions. One character in particular is very one-note, but otherwise the acting is pretty good. David Howard Thornton does steal the show every time he's on screen, and I'm not mad about it. I also wanted to highlight Kaylee Hyman as Brooke and Casey Hartnett as Alice. They played Sienna's besties and get a pretty raw deal, but they both gave amazing performances. Allie's death scene is amongst the most brutal and gory I've ever seen, and I'd say it just might outdo the infamous hacksaw scene from the first one. Damien Leone's effects are top-notch practical gems that are a literal feast for the eyes. Just incredibly disgusting stuff. It's so good. My only critique is this. I was at first really excited for the nearly 2.5-hour runtime, but after seeing the movie, we could easily shave off about 30 minutes without losing the overall feel of the film. A lot of time was spent getting to know Sienna and her family, and I don't think that much time was needed with them, to be honest. Especially when a lot of the info has no impact on how the story ultimately plays out. For instance, all the stuff with Jonathan and the dead dumpster animal was not really important to the story, and the several talks between Sienna and her mom about his behavior were just not needed. All of the art stuff was fantastic. I was giggling like a schoolgirl whenever he was on screen and simultaneously clenching my butt cheeks when he was murdering his victims. Especially when he used the scalpel and scissor cat of nine tails contraption. Ugh, that gets me every time. However, we jump from an awesome kill scene to 20 minutes of character-driven dialogue, so it threw the pacing off somewhat. For me at least, anyway. That's not to say I didn't like the movie, however. I love the premise that's been set up for the series going forward. It was fun to throw Felissa Rose and Tamara Glynn in the mix for hardcore horror aficionados. Samantha Scaffidi's return as Victoria comes mid-credits and is such a wonderful, off-the-wall, and truly perverse scene. Terrifier 2 is taking risks that are not so commonplace in the genre anymore. I'm a gorehound exploitation junkie, and horror has been decidedly not that for the past several years. Damien Leone has hands down created the only franchisable horror character to come out in quite some time. I would say the last time we saw a character like this was Victor Crowley in Hatchet. I will definitely be watching this one again once it hits Screambox. I hope this is the first of many sequels in this franchise because, as I said earlier, the mythology is set. We'll never have to wonder why Art and Sienna never die. It's already firmly entrenched in the storyline. Highly recommended viewing, but not for the faint of heart. So, that'll do it for me, kids. Until next time, I'm Stan the Mechanic, the demon you can believe in.